Shalom, shalom. I want to welcome you all to the King James Bible University. I'm Brother Sheldon, and today I will be speaking to you about, fleeing from sin. This will be a part two. We will be looking at, in part two, we'll be looking at sin. We'll be exploring a very common issue within the body of Israel to gain a better understanding of God's Word and how it functions to assist us in our daily lives as we seek to combat the issue of this present life. All right. And so, just a little side note before we begin. We here at the King James Bible University, we don't associate with any Christian or camp doctrine and organization. I just want to make that clear, right? This is for any for for a newcomer, these are our main scriptures that are instructed by JEHOVAH when we are going through this spiritual book. All right. So our first, we're going to be looking at Isaiah 28, 9 and 10. So Isaiah 28, 9 and 9 and 10, and it reads, "Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? It is them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast." Verse 10, it says, "For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little." All right. So we can get a little bit from Genesis, a little bit from Numbers, all the way up to Revelation to get a better understanding of what the verse or the scripture is saying. All right. We're going to go over to Psalms 119 and 4. It says, "Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently." All right. And in Psalms, I'm going to go over to Psalms 119, 104. It says, "Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way." All right. Let's jump over to Isaiah 34:16. Isaiah 34:16. And it reads, it says, seek ye out of the book of the Spirit of God and read. So no one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit, not his flesh, but his spirit, it hath gathered them. Alright? So just a brief summary of what we looked at in part one was the word flee. We need to understand why it is important that we flee from sin. We need to see how the word is functioning and moving. I have looked up the meaning in the spiritual dictionary, to see what flee was, how it was moving. He said flee, it was moving as avoid, things that we should avoid, we should abstain, we should refrain. All right, let's go over. We also went to Leviticus chapter 11, and went 10 to 12. Just a little recap of what we did. So it says, "And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that moves in the waters, and any living thing which is in the waters, there shall be an abomination unto you." All right. It says, "They shall even be abomination," meaning most hateful unto you. Ye shall not eat, ye shall not learn of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you, right? So we just want to, in this lesson, we just want to kind of break down certain things, so make sure I'm not going over anyone's head. I said, first we're going to be looking at fins. All right, fins. So we're going to go over to our spiritual dictionary. We're going to be looking at the word fins. All right, you see here it says fins. It says clean, purity, and lawful. All right, kind of just want to pull a little verse, kind of make sure anyone get a better understanding of what does it saying. Let's go to John chapter 15, and we're gonna hit verse 3. It says, "Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you." All right, and let's jump over to Psalms 119, and we're gonna go 140. All right, and it reads 140a. Sorry, Psalms 119, 140a. So thy word is very pure. That's all we need. So we need to understand what the Spirit of God is saying to us, and say, looking at the verse spiritually, and say these sea creatures, for example, um, a sea turtle or a stingray, who do not have fins, represent those who do not have clear wisdom or knowledge of Jehovah's word, right? They're picking and choosing what they will follow or do. I said, for they have their own doctrine, their own beliefs, right? I said, if you look at look at a sea turtle, for example, the body is a hard shell, which illustrates it has a different covering other than a scale, which means it has a different understanding, comparing Jehovah's understanding. All right, which leads me to the scales. All right, so we're going to be looking at the scales. All right, so right here it says fins and scales. So we're going to look up in the dictionary and see it says scales. It says balance and justice, harmony, breastplate, weights and measures, blindness and covering. All right, so I said so we should we should have we should have balance in righteousness, in judgment, in doctrines, in teaching, having on the covering of the Spirit of God, but we don't. We're without protection. But Ephesians, if you go in Ephesians chapter 6 and 11, Ephesians chapter 6 and 11, we're going to go 11 and we're going to go 13 to 17, and it tells us, put on the whole armor of God, right? That ye may be able to stand against the the wiles of the devil. So I just want to make sure, let's look up the word wiles just to get an understanding. Remember, these words have function, they have meanings, right? So let's look up the word wiles. Let's look up in our dictionary. What we find. It says, wow, this is scheming, craftiness, strategies, and methods. All right, so that's what we need. That's why we need that armor of God so we can withstand the wiles of the devil, right? Let's go down to verse 13. It says, Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, right? Stand therefore for this reason, having your loins girded about with truth, and having the breastplate of righteousness, all right? And your feet and your desires shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. The gospel, you need to have that message. Make sure you have that message of JEHOVAH in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, in your going out, and you're coming in. All right. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. All right. And we need, and take 17, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. All right. So I hope that kind of that shield, that skill, we need to have that covering on us. That justice, we need that breastplate. Yeah, I understand. So let's go down to so I just kind of break down, Leviticus 11, just some of the word meaning, just so you can follow along. So just like for the word seas, all right, right here it says fins and scale and in the seas. So in the seas, it's talking about in the people, right? And and in the rivers, let's talk about the nation of people, the streams, the flood, right? And all that moves in the waters. We know that water meaning the knowledge, the understanding, all right, of any living thing which is in the waters, right? There shall be an abomination. So abomination meaning it's unclean, it's abhorred, it's wickedness, it's most hated unto the Spirit of God. So if it's most hated unto the Spirit of God, it should be most hated unto you as well, right? So we need to. So these are some of the things that I say we need to flee from all these abominations, which is the most hateful thing unto JEHOVAH. And so we are eating all these unclean foods that cause us to defile the temple of God. Eating crabs and lobsters and shrimps and mussels. You know, and we said that if we go in First Corinthians, so one of our favorite verses that we touched on a lot over here is First Corinthians chapter 3. We're gonna go 16 and 17, right? It says 16 and 17, and it reads, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?" All right, not a physical building what that you see in the street corners. You're the temple. You're the temple of God, right? And that the Spirit of God dwelleth within you. All right. So if providing any man or woman defile the temple of God, him shall God. The temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, is separated, right? Which temple ye are. So I was saying we're just doing a little recap what we touched on. And if we go to Jeremiah, go to Jeremiah 32. Sorry, we're gonna go to 32, and we're gonna go with 34. And it says, "But they set their abomination So this most hateful, this most wickedness in the house, which is your temple, which they call by my way, name, meaning the way to defile it. So when we're eating again, when we're eating all these unclean stuff, we're defiling the temple of God, right? In the temple of God, we must be holy. We must be separated yourself from doing all these sinful acts and going out in the ways of evil men, right? So that was just a recap, of what we went through in part one. Now we'll be looking at part two. Here we need to see how the word sin is functioning and moving in scriptures. All right, so just want to ask yourself, ask yourself like, hey, what is sin? How does it move or function, and how it affecting us in our lifestyle, in our everyday lifestyle, right? So sin, definition, sin, is it's a carnal. Let me see if I can look here. So let me see if we can look it up in our spiritual dictionary. All right. So we see sin, right? Sin is carnal, fleshly, imagination and thoughts. Imagination of disobedience and evil. So kind of get an understanding of how sin is. We know that it's fleshly, it's carnal, it's fleshly. All right. And it's going to be coming from the imaginations and our thoughts. All right, so we need to see some scriptures just to see if we can get a better understanding on what we're doing in our everyday lives. We're going to go to Genesis, right, 6 and 5, and it reads, Genesis 6 and 5. It says, and God saw that the wickedness of man, so the wickedness of man, so that man is, man, man or woman, both of them, was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually, right? So I can't just say you guys, I gotta put myself in there too as well. Like each and every one of us, when we have that wicked thought of, something you want to do, fleshly pleasure, it's gonna get us caught up and it's gonna be evil continually, all right? So let's go to Mark. We're gonna go to Mark chapter 7. Gonna go to Mark 7, 20 and 23, just to see how this evil sin is moving. All right, 20, and we're gonna go to 23, and it says, and he said, that which cometh out of a man. So that man again. Yeah, let me pull up over here. I didn't put this in the teaching, but I just wanna kind of show what that man. Let's jump over to Genesis. We're gonna go to Genesis 1 and 2. It says, this is the book of the generation of Adam in the day that God created man, right? In the likeness of God, he made him. He made male and female, created he them, and blessed them, give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding unto them, and call altogether their name, their way, Adam, in the day when they were created. So whenever we come over here to Mark, we see that the man is talking about not just the male only, but it's talking about the male and the female. All right. So it says, so the man, so out of the man that defileth the man, right? It says 4:21. It says for within, out of the heart. So the heart is going to be your desires. of men perceiving evil thoughts. So it's gonna all start from your imagination, the mind, the mindset. You're gonna be, you're gonna be committing all these thoughts. Gonna be, gonna be becoming adulterous. I mean, you see a married woman out there, she looks good. Hey man, yo, such and such wife that you don't start maybe lusting out there. Oh, she looks good. I wouldn't mind getting with her, trying to chop her down, and all these things come to your mind, which is gonna work out through your actions or your heart. You decide the thought. Then you want to see her. Next thing you want to do what? You're gonna be committing fornication. I mean, this is a lot of things that even I myself, struggle. Fornication. Seen something you're like, hey man, she's good. She's good looking. She's nice. She looks this or that. You want to get with her. Want to put this one on your belt. You know what I mean? So all these things that proceeded out of the heart of man, adultery, fornication, murders, thefts, and covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and evil eye, blasphemer, struggling with the pride, foolishness. All these things, all these evil things come from within, and that defiles a man. All right. So we clearly see now that this sin is moving, and how it can affect, each and every one. Not just, I can't just say you guys and leave myself out of it. Gotta put myself in it too. So even for me, it can affect is well, it will affect you or affect us in our day-to-day life, right? So let's go over to Romans chapter 8. Romans 8, we're gonna look at 6 through 8. All right. And it reads, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritual minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can it be. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please God. So again, if we're rolling around pleasing our fleshly desires, having these evil thoughts of pleasing our flesh, you see clearly in verse 8, he's telling us we cannot please God. All right. So let's jump over to let's go over to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 14 and 14. Jeremiah 14 and 14. And it reads, then the Spirit of God said unto me, the prophets prophesied lies in my name, in my way. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesied unto you a false vision and divination, and the thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. So even you can even look at it like, hey, I seen you can look at all these false prophets in those in those church buildings or in those camps. I mean, prophesied lies and given false vision and all these falsities. All right, but I have to say it in that way because I really want. I have to say it in that way because I really want you to think and understand what I'm saying. And so we have forsaken Jehovah, the God of Israel, walking in the mindset according to our carnal and fleshly desires, right? And have not obeyed his voice. Let's go over to Jeremiah. chapter 9, and we're going to look at 13 and 14. Jeremiah chapter 9, 13 and 14. It says, and the Spirit of God said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set in the presence of them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walk, neither live therein, but have lived, but have walked, but have lived after their imagination, after their own heart, of her own desires, after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. Alright, so we can clearly see what happens when we follow our own way and our own desires and not after the desires of the Spirit of God. Alright, let's jump over to, let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah Isaiah 59, and we're going to look at 7. This is what happens when we follow our own desire, our own imagination. Verse 7, and it reads, their feet, so again, not feet, their desires run to do evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. So we run to shed that innocent lifestyle, right? Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. So that this iniquity, that's the acts of sin, wasting and destruction are in their path. Mercy. You know what I mean? So when we walk in according to our own fleshly desires, we're wasting and in destruction are in our path, right? Let's go to Jeremiah, and let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2, and we're gonna hit verse 13. Dang. 2, we're gonna hit 13. It says, for my people, and it reads, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, that living knowledge, that understanding, and hewed them out cistern, broken cistern, that can hold no water. It says, having our own fleshly heart, choosing not to be obedient and hearken unto JEHOVAH. It says we cannot hold no water, no knowledge. Right? So we as a people are lost, not knowing who we are and the God that we must serve. All right, let's jump over to Hosea. Hosea, we're gonna look at 4, and we're gonna look at 6. All right, it says, "For my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law. I will also forget thy children, thy works." All right. And if we go to, so we forgot, we don't need this knowledge. We forgot it. Remember, we're a broken cistern. We can't hold no knowledge. We refuse the knowledge of the living waters, the Spirit of God. All right, let's go to Amos. Amos chapter 3. We're going to look at 1 and 2. It says, hear this word that the Spirit of God has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I have brought up from the land of bondage, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, for this reason, I will punish you for all your iniquities. So for all our acts of sin, we're going to get punished, right? The Most High God of Israel is only dealing with one set or one group of people, all right? And we should be obedient unto Him, but we're not. All right, let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15. I'm going to go to 24. It says, But he answered and said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right, let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25, we're going to go to 55. 25, we're going to 55, right? It says, For unto me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants whom I have brought up out of the land of bondage. I am the spirit of your guide. All right. Also gonna look at Isaiah. Gonna look at Isaiah chapter 41 and 8. It says, But thou, Israel, art not perfection and beauty, my servant, Jacob, who I have chosen, and the seed of Abraham, my friend. All right. I'm saying all these scriptures that I pull, look what the Most High is saying to us. Like He is our God, and yet we don't want to draw and learn towards Him. All right. It says we do not consider the ways of our God. Let's go to Isaiah. Let me use this one. Isaiah chapter 1. We're gonna go 3 and 4. I'm gonna touch 3 for now. It says, The ox knoweth his owner, and his ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people, we don't consider the ways of JEHOVAH, the Spirit of God. We don't even want to think about it. Man, we'd rather go do something else, our own ways, our own desires. Not trying to hear. Sometimes if you even bring it the word onto, a close family member, it could be our husband, it could be our wives, even some of the time our kids or cousins and other relatives, trying to speak to them about, just maybe a word of encouragement, like, hey, just to give them some word of encouragement to put them on the right path, to look at things a different way. Sometimes, most of the time they reject it. They don't want to hear it. All right, so kind of pull up a little a video of, just showing you how animals, like a sheep and a shepherd, how the sheep only listens to the voice of his shepherd. So I kind of pull up a little illustration just to show of the obedience. All right, so give me 1 second.
One more time.
Oh, one is. Louder!
Look at them. Look at them. Isn't that amazing?
They are coming. God, this is amazing.
Was that cool or what?
So yeah. In this video, I just kind of pull this video, and it's just a similitude of what we can learn from. You know, you can see the sheep represents us. You know, while we're here in this wilderness, there's going to be many voices trying to get you to follow or go their way. However, the sheep only listen to the voice of the shepherd, right? So we should only be hearkening and listen to the one voice of our shepherd, that is JEHOVAH. All right, let's go. So yeah, we're gonna be looking at. Let's go over to John 10:2, and it reads, "But he that entereth by the door is the shepherd of the sheep." All right, and John 10:27 tells us, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." So JEHOVAH, the Spirit of God, should be our only shepherd, not the ones in those church buildings, nor those one that's on the street corners. All right, let's go over. Let's pull. Let's go in Psalms 23, verse 1, and it says, "The Spirit of God is my shepherd; I shall not want." We don't need those ones on the street corners. We don't need those ones in the church building. I mean, the Spirit of God is my shepherd. JEHOVAH is the one shepherd. We don't need anything else. All right? It says no matter what, but no matter what, there's still going to be some goats mixed in with the sheep of this flock. So spiritually, the goat symbolizing a sinful, rebellious evildoer, just being stiff-necked, I would say, just like a lot of us. You know, we need to, we don't want to listen. We don't take corrections, instructions, nor guidance. That's that's being stiff-necked. A goat in a nutshell. You ain't going. We always, it's my body. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. I don't want to hear nothing. And then we go about our business. All right. We always want to do things our way. All right. It, but he tells us in Isaiah chapter 1 and 4. This is a goat. Right here's a goat. It says, a sinful nation, a people laden with iniquities, laden with acts of sin, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Spirit of thy God. They have provoked the Holy One, the separated one of Israel, unto anger, and said they have gone backwards. All right, this is how we as a people move towards JEHOVAH, our guide. All right, it reiterates that we are to turn and flee from our sinful ways, right? Most High have been really merciful unto us, but we still not hearkening. We still won't listen. All right, let's go to Isaiah. Let's see what does say the Most High. Isaiah 65, 2 to 4. Isaiah 65, 2 to 4. And it reads, I have spread out my hand, my power all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh, which liveth in a way that is not good, after their own thoughts, of people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice has established the covenant in gardens and burning incense upon altars of bricks, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which have learned of the swine a contemptible flesh of broth, and abominable things is in their vessel. That vessel is you, that body, that temple. This is what we're eating. This is what we're putting in. Alright? So we see, no, we always provoking the Most High to wrath. Sometimes, things happen to us. We're wondering, why, Lord? Why me? What we gotta do is self-check and look upon ourselves. Again, I can't just be saying you guys. I have to put myself also in it. What am I doing? Am I being faithful? Am I truly doing what is required of me? Am I being obedient enough? Am I adhering enough unto what the words of JEHOVAH is saying in my journey, in this walk, in my going out, in my coming in? All right. So let's go back to Jeremiah again. Just Jeremiah chapter 3. We're going to look at verse 14. And this is what we have to do. We have to examine our lifestyle and turn, O backsliding children, saith the Spirit of God. For I am married unto you. Right? I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Right? I said we have to we have to continually, not just once a year or we have to continually examine ourselves to make sure that we are being obedient unto the words of JEHOVAH, not walking and fulfilling all our fleshly desires. All right, so we have identified and recognized a few out of the many issues that can befall us, or that we can encounter us on this journey, or hinder us, or become a stumbling block for many of us on this journey, in this wilderness, in our everyday lives, right? I said we need to see the solution of how we can correct and how we can align ourselves and our lifestyle to fit JEHOVAH principle, making sure that we are being obedient servants to do His will towards the path of righteousness. So first we must, not something we may or think about it, or maybe I'll do it. This is something that we must do. Jeremiah chapter 3 and 13, right up above, right? It says, only acknowledge thy iniquities. So only acknowledge your acts of sin, that thou hast transgressed against the spirit of thy guide, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree. Alright? That ye have not obeyed my voice, said the Spirit of God. So we need to be no more stiff necked. Just humble ourselves to act. You know what? I did this. You know what? I used to be a fornicator. Man, I used to run the streets red. You know, everything I see I wanted to knock down, chopped up. Like, yo, let's get it cracking. You know what I mean? We can actually sit and acknowledge and look at ourselves and say, you know what I was doing, that was wrong in the sight of JEHOVAH. And I need to turn and do what is right. Because he said it's better to be married than to burn. Alright? Let's go to Romans chapter 8. And we're gonna look at 13. So these are the solutions for and it reads 13. Romans chapter 8 verse 13. For if we live after the flesh, so we live in a lifestyle with the imagination and the wickedness of our hearts, committing all these fleshly lusts. If we live our lifestyle according to that, ye shall die. So we can clearly see, right? But if ye through the Spirit mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. Again, if that's something that you're struggling with, I don't know what you guys are going to be struggling. I can only talk for myself. You know what I mean? Struggle, stuff that I struggle with. You know what I mean? I have to mortify it. I have to kill this off. I have to kill that works off. So some of us, it can be, again, drinking habits, smoking habits. You know what I mean? Some of us have like, you know, again, for me, it was fornication, moving around. You know what I mean? I had to learn how to kill that fleshly works off, so that I may live. You know what I'm saying? So again, just speaking for myself, right? It says, so let's go to Jeremiah, and we're gonna go to 14. We're gonna go to 20. Jeremiah 14 and 20. And it reads, it says, we acknowledge, O Spirit of God, our wickedness and our acts of sin, right? Of our fathers, for we have sinned against thee. So this is something, we gotta recognize, we gotta come to and say, you know what, I have sinned. I says the amount, again, I'm just speaking for myself, but the amount of sin that I have committed against JEHOVAH, it's unparalleled. It's comparing the sands of the seashore. I mean, I was just saying, in your spare time, in your free time, you can read this whole chapter to get a better understanding of the. We're gonna go over the prayer of Manasseh, but in your free time, I could say give this whole chapter a read to get a better understanding of this prayer. You know what I mean? Prayer of Manasseh. I said, but the key verse we're going to be focusing on is, 1 and 9, just for time's sake. I was saying, let's give it a read through the whole chapter. We're going to go to 9, 1 to 9, and we're going to go 12 and 13. All right, it says, for I have, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It says, for I have sinned above the number of the sands of the sea. It says, my transgression, O Creator, are multiplied. My transgression are multiplied, and I am not worthy to behold, to see the heights of heaven, for the multitude of my iniquities, of my acts of sin. All right, we're going to jump down to 12. Again, it says, I have sinned, O Creator. I have sinned. Truly, truly, truly. I can say I have sinned, right? And I acknowledge my acts of sin. Wherefore, I humbly beseech, I humbly beg thee, forgive me, O Creator, forgive me, and destroy me not with my acts of sin. Be not angry with me forever by reserving evil for me. Neither condemn me to the lower parts of the earth, for thou art in thy profession and beauty the God, even the God of them that repent. All right. So we have clearly, truly, truly, not going to the Most High, Lord, forgive me, but this woman, she was so fine, I just had to knock it down. No, 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 don't even start with that. Sincerely, you got to go to the Most High, and sincerely, sincerely ask for forgiveness. You turn and you don't do that no more. All right. It says, now that let's go to Psalms real quick. Psalms 51, and we're gonna go to 2 and 3. It says, wash me thoroughly from my iniquities, my acts of sins, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgression of my sin is ever before me. All right. After we have been cleansed by the word, we should be walking, we should be living in the path, aligning ourselves with JEHOVAH. He shall direct thy path, our path. All right. So, so let's go to Deuteronomy and see what is required of each and every one of us. And I mean, Deuteronomy chapter 10, and we're going to look at 12 and 13. So after we've been washed and cleansed, you have to learn in this new path, what is it that I must do? What is required of me? All right, so verse 12, 10, we look at 12 and 13. All right, so now, Israel, what doeth the Spirit of thy guide required of thee? But to fear, but to desire the Spirit of thy guide, to walk, to live spiritually, to live in all his ways, and to love spiritually, to promise him, and to serve the Spirit of thy God with all thy heart, thy desire, and with all thy souls. All right, for what? To keep the commandments, the righteousness of the Spirit of God, and his statutes, which I instruct thee this day for thy good. All right, so this is the path we need to be steadfast. We need to align ourselves with and seek Jehovah's righteousness. All right. So we're gonna jump over to Proverbs. We're winding it down. We're gonna go to Proverbs chapter 3, and we're gonna look at 6. Right. It says, in all thy ways. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Alright? Don't be going back doing things your ways. You gotta acknowledge him. Deuteronomy. Let's jump over to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 24 and 25, right? It says, and the Spirit of God instructed us to do all these statutes, to fear, to desire the Spirit of thy guide for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day, and that it shall be our righteousness, if providing we observe to do all these commandments in the presence of the Spirit of our guide, as he have instructed us. All right. So, just want to give you a few little nuggets, just to always keep as we go. We got to keep moving in this wilderness, on this journey. There's many. We're on this broad road, and there's many things that can, entice us, trying to get us off the path. But we must stick and stay with JEHOVAH. So if we go to Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, you know what I mean? We don't want to get caught up. We don't want to get caught up with the things of what's going on in this world. It might be hard. It might be a lot of trials and tribulation, but we gotta keep moving forward. It says Matthew 6 and 33. It says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. There's this saying back home, there's a saying, if you know better, you do better. You know what I'm saying? I say, yo, your very life is on the line. Not, well, Lord, it's because of my mama, my daddy, my friends, my family members. Because of them, that's why I did it. No, 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 no. Your very life, your life. You have to make the choice. We cannot be going around pointing fingers at everyone else and not look at ourselves. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we all have a choice to make. All right. So once we know and acknowledge of our sinful ways, we choose to walk, meaning to live in the ways of JEHOVAH, to admonish to not to be tempted to return to the vomit. You know what I mean? Don't be like that dog. You know what I mean? So just want to leave you with two more scriptures, and then we winding it down. So don't be like that dog. Meaning what? Don't be like that dog to return to his folly, to that sinful ways that he used to be living. Right? Proverbs 26 and 11, and he reads, as comparing a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to that folly. So you don't want to be like that dog, and you don't want to be considered as a fool. Returning to what? Living a lifestyle of the flesh, having those wicked and imagination of our hearts, in our minds. All right. Oh, I didn't put this in a teaching, but it just came to me that we need to. I think it's Romans chapter 12. We need to renew. Is it 12? Renew our mind. Right, here we go. Okay, all right. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove that which is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. All right, so y'all see the solution of what we can do to turn and to be obedient unto our God. So I'm just gonna be pulling the last scripture here, and then I should be out of your way. Last scripture, Hebrews. We're gonna go to 10. We're gonna go to 26. So now that you know, you turn, you know what it is. You can't be turning. For it says Hebrews 10:26, where it says, "For if, provided ye sin willfully after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more established covenant for sin." All right. So I just want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope this message will be used to encourage each and every one of us on this journey. Hope it was edified, and I just hope I wasn't speaking over anyone's head. I hope that you can take something from this lesson and apply it in your going out and your coming in through this wilderness. So I just want to say shalom to you all, and thank you again for joining me. Again, I'm Brother Sheldon, and catch you on the next one, all right? Thank you. Shalom.